Hello. I don't think that this video is going to have a lot of clear understanding. My brain's kind of like everywhere right now, but I still have to make a video, and there's still something I want to discuss. And I guess to start, it will be giving you my perspective, or I guess the kind of life that I live. I'm not on social media that much. Um, my screen time is around 3 hours a day. Um, and I don't engage in vertical forms of media. Um, Generally, I think that I'm a very, like, this is me. This is me pushing technology away. Or not, I guess, technology, because technology is fine, but the greater, like, social technologies that kind of are based in communication. Like, I'm still fine using a game guide because I'm dumb and need guidance when I'm gaming. But more of discussion based, like people talking about something, people creating new terms and concepts and meta narratives for, I don't know, our reality. That kind of stuff I don't engage with too much. Unfortunately, I do still engage with it a little because there's kind of like the concept of, like, at least in my mind, YouTube has changed a lot and has gone from channel based to more like video based. So originally you'd be on YouTube and you'd look for specific channels because you wanted to look for specific people's videos. And now you're just looking for the videos themselves. You know, we've kind of cut out the middleman of looking at for channels, and instead having more of a general video centered, idea centered kind of algorithm. But there are still some legacy YouTubers, I guess, that I still watch. That honestly, to be like for realio, I'd probably be way better off just completely cutting that out too. Because then I wouldn't have these brain worms in my head that get put there by these people. Because, you know, everything's idea based and conceptual. And so if you can stir together a narrative that's, I guess, has all of the qualities of a narrative that will catch your attention, and then something that will lead you down a pipeline to something else, whether it's to exploit you for money, for your attention, whatever it may be. And also the attention economy of YouTube itself kind of is a bit of a bummer. Especially with how, you know, on top of but there is an incentive put, a financial incentive put onto people for getting other people's attention and getting, like, narratives and beliefs. And then that brain thing of your, like, normal network or whatever, where the basic, I guess, formatting of the brain is to have a generally more negative, or to be attracted towards generally more negative narratives, because there's always something, I guess, salient with danger that if you're fear or angry or, you know, generally negative emotions, you're much more like present in those. Therefore, we're more, as soon as we see something of that nature, we become attached to it, which not ideal for like communication and greater trends online. So there's ups and downs to the internet, and I think my least favorite part is the interconnectedness of it that leads to basically living a life now is you have to at least partially be on the internet, at least in the US, I'd say. Generally just because like it's how it is. Like even since like 5, maybe 6 years ago, I was still like, man, yeah, I'd be real like happy just living in the woods without having any screens to look at and just like, I don't know, a dog or something. Like life is so much more complicated than it has ever been, and navigating that requires so much more dedicated energy and effort, which is probably why we are more productive than ever now, because we've been, I don't know, and by we, I mean the generally like, I don't know, 16 to 27-year-olds have been brought up in an environment that is so productivity focused, you know? And there's so much to like dissect and understand that that like information is so much more valuable than it ever has been, because of the fact you can acquire it in large amounts and then you know, use AI to create, I don't know, new information, or at least sort the information in a way that we find to be productive, I guess is a better way to say it. So that whole life in the woods things would be really, really nice, because I wouldn't be having these brain worms in my head about productivity and how like, well, we're in a pivotal moment, you know, this is a big part, this is a big step for humanity, there's a lot of unknowns, you know, this is the most unprecedented times we've ever lived in. All that, that's like cool and whatever, but I'm just like a human, I'm an animal. There's things that I want to do, like eat, have kids, you know, hunt boar, grow plants, look at trees. Like, I'm not bringing an anti-technology, like, primitivist argument. I'm just saying that the infatuation with the growth of technology is perverted. And having that one-track mindset of productivity and optimization is a futile like goal. And I do have a bit of a interesting argument for that, or I guess it's more of a story. But in my youth, you know, back in ye olden days, I was a big fan of idle games, clicker games, ones where you know, acquire a number and then use that number to get bigger numbers over time, you know? And my, I guess, framework for that concept of, I guess, greed I'm impartial to it now. Of like, yeah, that's cool. The number went up, and I'm so infatuated. I was so infatuated with the idea of optimization and productivity. Of you, like, I would literally do math to figure out how I could get more cookies, or like what choices were more optimal. And I'm kind of thankful that I had that in my upbringing, because now the idea of acquiring great wealth for the sake of great wealth is like, it's not in my head. It's not something that's like I'm itching to see that number increase. Because I could, right? I could put effort into doing so, but the things that I truly want, the things that have changed over my life to lead me to different goals that aren't optimization and productivity, is instead human-centered goals, like nature. Nature is a part of humanity. There's just something in your brain about like being in nature that's it's just right. It's like where we're meant to be. And community, people, we're social creatures. I love the community that I'm a part of, and I love creating communities for other people to be a part of. I've been working on like having to stop having that gatekeeping feeling of like, no, don't join my community, but there still should be some gatekeeping, right? Because you don't want bad actors. And that's also a part of like humanity, is being tribal, having your tribes and your enemies and your friends. I don't know if we'll ever get past that. If we do, that'd be great. And if we don't, so be it. Separately, I also have another point that I wanted to get at. Technology really, really is not conducive to having like a community and people and nature. It's almost anti-human to a point, if you take it that far, really. Pretty much whenever you are engaging in like, you know, short form content, vertical media, whenever you have your attention grabbed, you know, that is the relationship between you and, you could say, your phone or whatever you're looking at. But it can also be something bigger, like the relationship between you and this form of media. And that's only for like shows and TV, which we do love great stories as humans, so those are still human. But shorter form content that doesn't have an overarching narrative and isn't there to tell you a story, but is simply to be compact information, that is not nice to humans, I suppose. And I'm curious if you've heard this all before. As a person who doesn't engage with this stuff, I've kind of like internalized these arguments of like, yes, this, and this is why I don't do this, and this, and that. And with so much information on the internet, it's hard to tell what people know. And so it's created this fractured idea of reality where speaking to a person who's engages with short form content consistently and has their own, I guess, algorithmic niches that they're a part of, conversing with them compared to someone who is entirely off the internet is so incredibly different. And the conversations that you'll have with people who are not on the internet consistently, or I guess constantly, I should say, we are all consistently somewhat on the internet, is like, the conversation is a game, I guess. An internalized game. They don't see it as a game itself, but whenever I'm talking to them, I feel as though they are viewing it through a lens of which they view the world in, and that worldview is constructed from short form media. So it's not that their attention spans are short, but instead that I suppose their novelty seeking behaviors are like way up. And so it's harder to get deeper conversations with them, as they will want to jump to new different things, or just like not even new different things, but they want to keep it novel, I guess. But with a person who doesn't have those worldviews and behaviors, you're able to dwell more. You're able to ruminate on what you're talking about and really get into the weeds of it. Which is interesting. I think I have a better way to explain what I mean by a person, who's chronically online, and the way that they view the world, and the novelty-seeking behaviors. I will refine this argument perhaps for another video, but I'll continue yammering on with greater worldviews and like segmented realities, atomized perspectives of the world. Back whenever radio was the new big thing, I wasn't around then, but I could imagine that for that world, due to the fact that everyone gets their information from one source, that being the radio, and the radio being simply, for the ears, for your listening pleasure, that the understanding of the world was so much more centralized. And there was one cohesive narrative. Now there's so many smaller tribes of worldviews and perspectives that there are some concepts that people are so entrenched in with how they live their life, their lifestyles based around these concepts, that I don't even have, I don't know what I don't know about that, right? Which is wild, because I think that I'm a knowledgeable person on general world trends. At least I try to be. And there are some, niche lifestyles or, greater beliefs of what the world really is, which I suppose are more conspiratorial in nature, and so you'll have people who are drawn to that. But conspiracies are kind of becoming normal. They're main cultural arguments of the world, that if you gave that argument to someone, 10 years ago, they'd think you're crazy. Of just generally AI doomerism, or the US's surveillance state that they're making, and just how technology has become so not nice. It's very unkind. It's very exploitative in nature. And like the fact that all of these, to me, are true. Well, not true. The AI doomerism thing isn't true, but the surveillance state thing and the unkind social medias, technologies in general, is crazy sauce. Like, this is stuff you'd only like hear on like 4chan pages 10 years ago, right? And now it's the greater cultural narrative. It's insane. But it's all because of the internet, right? Communication en masse and the ability to form ideas and narratives that anybody can listen to. And that everyone, like, could. Like, your word formatted correctly for virality and over a greater, like, long-term, not even that long of a term. Like, you could do a year or two and get lucky, and you can have almost everyone hear what you're saying, or at least a scarily large amount of people hear what you're saying, and most people who are in that position are unaware of the power they have to control narratives. Like, things are getting crazy because of the internet. And it's because everyone is engaged with it because of those unkind, exploitative, opportunistic, attention-grabbing features that have been implemented by larger companies who can gain greater, like, information advantage over the world if they create these systems that people will pour all their information into that they can then use to make the system stronger. It is recursive in nature. And that's the same argument for, like, AI doomerism, is it being recursive in nature. That whenever you create an AI to create AIs, then, like, we're done. And if that's even possible, I don't know. But I feel like if I could, like, enact one great decree, a great law, or just a general, like, wish, is to get off the internet and to engage with something that is kinder to you. The internet has become very abusive, and it's no longer useful. I mean, it's incredibly useful, but it's no longer in your favor. And it hasn't been for a long time, right? It's been slowly growing until it can have absolute control over your attention. And now I sound like a conspiratorial maniac, right? Because why would I have to say that? It's insane. Everything's a conspiracy. The world is ending. The world is fine. I'm gonna go think now, and you probably should too. And maybe go on a walk or something and call your mom and, like, plan a hangout with your friends, and play, like, Black Ops 2 Zombies or something. Like, man, enjoy life. Because technology doesn't want you to. It wants you to be optimal. And enjoyment is not a part of that equation. So go and live, please. Anyways, toodles.